Restricted income is money given to the charity for a purpose rather than just to be used where we see fit. So money could be used for things like research or physical activity, or it could be something more specific like a particular research project or specifically Nordic walking. So this is where general and specific purpose varies. Money can't, however, be restricted to a local group. So local groups are subsidiaries of Parkinson's UK, which means that all local group money is Parkinson's UK money. While we will always transfer any donations that someone asks to go to a specific local group, it isn't classed as a legal restriction in the same way that restricted income is. And the reason for this is because you can't define an area. If you had any town and district group, what counts as the district? And if someone lived just outside of that district, but it was still their closest group activity, we wouldn't stop them coming. So if a group is given money for a specific purpose, this is restricted, but only to the activity, not to the area. So if the group couldn't spend it, it could be transferred back to central funds and spent for that purpose somewhere else in the country. And it's really important to know that only a donor can restrict funds. And it needs to be in writing. A local group can't restrict funds. So you can certainly ring fence funds. You can say, oh, we've got that money and we'd like to spend it on physical activity, but that is not a legal restriction unless the donor has put in writing that they want the money to be used for a specific purpose. When a donor does wish to restrict a fund, it's always really good to have that conversation with them that says, yeah, we'll do our best to spend it in the way that they wish, but by not restricting it, it means you can use the money in the best way possible for people living with Parkinson's, if that isn't the way that they wish to access that money. So, for example, if someone came to you and said, I absolutely want this to be spent on Nordic walking, but no one wants to do Nordic walking, if it's a written restriction, you can only spend that money on Nordic walking. But if the fund isn't restricted, you can then put it towards another form of physical activity that people in your area have told you that they want to be able to access, and you're getting the best from that money. That's not always possible. Some money is given on the understanding it is for a specific purpose. If you apply for a grant, chances are there's criteria when you're applying for the grant that money is for. If after the conversation the fund is still restricted, you should plan to spend it. If only 2 people are turning up to that Nordic walking, keep it running until the money runs out. You can't use it for anything else if it's restricted unless you have the permission of the donor. So you should do your best to use it rather than letting it just sit there doing nothing. And of course, if you already have a successful Nordic walking, use up those restricted funds first, and that will free up your general funds for other things. If you're not sure about restricted funds, whether you have one or whether you're using it in the right way, then have a chat with your local staff contact.